I wouldn't know whether to call the Tenseigan over or underrated. It displays its own brand of Six Paths abilities, which take the form of a happy medium between Sasuke's Rinnegan, in that it seems to make use of a stronger version of the Deva Path, in that it can go so far as to completely control the moon, which Hagoromo could only create with Hamura's help. It also possesses a form of Six Paths Sage mode, which only Naruto had, so its strength is unquestionable, but it hasn't been used but once in the series, and that's a true shame. This is why I want to make more use of it here. I hope you'll join me as I spin a wonderful tale. Please direct your vision up to the moon as I craft a new world for us to visit, just one more of the Amagi's infinite number of Tsukuyomi worlds. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. It just happened one day, Sasuke said as each of the students listened in. It was lunchtime and literally everyone was falling all over themselves to get to talk to Sasuke. Naruto and Hinata, though not too close, were still interested in the story being told. I had always known that there was something different, but what it was I could have never expected. Just a few days ago, I awakened these eyes. My father said that it meant that I would bring peace to the world. Naruto put on a slightly amused smile. Well, there goes my popularity. Back to being class dud. Hinata giggled ever so slightly as she put her hand on his. That's not true, Naruto. You've never been a dud and you never will be. The other students are oohing and awing over the shiny new dojutsu. It doesn't mean that they don't still value yours. Naruto smiled. Even if they don't, I don't really mind it. My eyes are special and they're descended from the Byakugan, the greatest of all dojutsu. I don't need anyone to tell me it's awesome to know it is. Hinata blushed slightly. Though this wasn't a compliment solely for her, she felt as if it had been. So often the Byakugan was overlooked when compared to the Sharingan. The Byakugan could not cast Genjutsu, nor could it evolve into a stronger variant to gain new abilities. There were no Susanos in the Byakugan's future, but it possessed so many cool abilities that she believed that it could easily go toe-to-toe with a Mangekyo. For instance, the moment that a dojutsu technique is cast, a flaring of chakra would be generated within a Mangekyo Sharingan, and the Byakugan could see it. The Byakugan could see just about everything, and with that ability came the gentle fist techniques that only the Hyuga could learn. Though the most powerful among the Uchiha might be able to simulate certain techniques with a lot of straining and a lot of luck, there were just some things the Byakugan could do that the Sharingan could not, and that was the reason why the Byakugan and the Hyuga clan were the eternal rivals of the Sharingan and the Uchiha. After lunch, classes resumed, though it could hardly be paid attention to by the rest of the class. Everyone's minds were on the Rinnegan. It hadn't been seen in generations. Rumors abounded that the last time it had been awakened was by Madara Uchiha himself, but these sources could not be substantiated, especially since he was dead and buried. His Rinnegan had all but become worm food by this point. Ugh, that sounded a little worse than I meant it to. Regardless, there was no proof that Madara had them other than legends passed down by the Uchiha. So this was the first confirmed case since the Sage of Six Paths. After this, recess was called to give the tired minds of the students another chance to relax before returning once more to learn. Naruto and Hinata sorta stuck around each other while the rest of the class focused on Sasuke. She noticed Naruto looking over his shoulder at Sasuke. Naruto, it's okay. He would look to her. Huh? She smiled. I can tell that it's getting to you. Don't let it. It's not, Naruto said. I just don't like his smug attitude. He gets a new ability and suddenly the world revolves around him. I don't think that's very cash money is all. Hinata looked down, slightly amused by this. Naruto, you weren't too different not long ago. You were the center of attention and you liked it. And that's perfectly fine. It's natural for people to want to be liked, and now you feel that it's all gone just because somebody else appeared. But remember that popularity doesn't last. Naruto listened intently to what she had to say as they gently went up and down. Listen, Naruto, in about a month, something new will take its place, or perhaps your own popularity might skyrocket again. There's no telling what could happen. Just don't let it bother you. Be happy for him. Now he's feeling as loved as you were, and that can't be a bad thing. Naruto smiled. You're right. How could I be so selfish? I'm happy for him. I hope his popularity lasts longer than mine did. Hinata grinned brightly. That's the spirit. Just know, Naruto, you'll always be the most popular boy to me. They continued to play for a while until suddenly a voice called out. Hey! They stopped. Naruto looked back to see Sasuke standing there, the entire class behind him. He had a smirk on his face, his hands on his hip, his head angled in such a way that he stared down the bridge of his nose at Naruto, as if he were somehow better than him. There's a debate among the class right now, Sasuke said. They want to know which is stronger, the Rinnegan or the Tenseigan. I've decided to settle the debate here and now. Naruto was sitting there, looking up from the seesaw that was on the ground. Hinata was dangling in the air as this happened. They're both pretty much the same, Hinata said. We're talking about Hamura and Hagoromo's dojutsu. They're evenly matched. Sasuke looked back at the others around the class with a little chuckle and then back to Naruto. I don't think so. Hamura did have to go live on the moon. It's obvious that Hagoromo is stronger. That's how it is for Uchiha and Hyuga as well. While you guys may be founders of the village just like us, there's no doubt that we're the stronger of the two. Naruto's gaze turned dark. Hinata looked at him. Naruto, he's just trying to bait you. Suddenly, Naruto stood from the seesaw, causing Hinata to crash back down into the ground. Big words from a boy that only recently awakened his dojutsu. I've had mine my whole life, trained mind, body, and soul to use it. I suggest you take your little posse and go back across the yard before I show you what it means to be top dog. Sasuke smirked and drew closer to Naruto to look directly into his eyes. Sasuke was older than Naruto by a few months, and he did have an inch or two of height on him. If you really are top dog, then prove it to me. Hinata walked over to Naruto and put her hands on his shoulders. Naruto, just let it go. It's not worth it. Remember control. The Hyuga are a clan of control, both physical and emotional. The best way to honor our clan is to simply walk away and prove that you're the bigger man. Trust me. Naruto kept his gaze fixated on Sasuke, his chest puffed out. It was almost as if you could see the friction between their gazes. Hinata shook his arm. Naruto. Naruto would slowly let out the breath he'd been holding in. His shoulders relaxed. You're right, Hinata. I'm sorry. She began to pull his arm a little. Come on, Naruto. Let's just go. Naruto began to follow her. That's when Sasuke called out. Go back to your little compound, you pale-eyed chicken. Naruto's blood pressure skyrocketed. Hinata let go of his hand immediately, knowing that this was the last straw. Naruto was strong, and his willpower was something she could be proud of, but she knew that he had limits and he had boundaries, and Sasuke had just pushed Naruto over them all. There was nothing she could do now save watch. Naruto turned back and ran at Sasuke to punch him. Sasuke merely grabbed his fist and pushed it to the side, sending Naruto with it. Sasuke smiled at him pridefully. Is that the way of the Hyuga, rushing headlong without thinking? Hinata then called out to Naruto. Remember your training. If you need to fight, don't embarrass us. Naruto took a deep breath. Sasuke smiled. Maybe the little Hyuga boy isn't as chicken as I thought. Naruto would take another deep breath and enter his stance. Sasuke would as well. Naruto would slowly circle Sasuke. It was safe to assume he knew what he was doing. Both boys activated their respective dojutsu. Naruto would come in with a palm strike, but Sasuke would push that away, hoping to get Naruto off balance, but Naruto swung into it so he might swing his leg in from an angle. Sasuke barely caught this and pushed it back, bringing Naruto back to both of his feet, righting his position. They continued to strike out at each other, dodging, parrying, and blocking blows. Well, Naruto was blocking blows, Sasuke couldn't and he knew that, so the two of them would continue to trade blows. It wasn't long until Iruka witnessed this and called out for them to stop before rushing in. Naruto and Sasuke would speed up a bit, knowing that the only chance they had of getting a blow in was right here and right now, and so they attempted to strike each other. Their fists crossed over with as much chakra as they could muster and struck each other in the jaw, causing both to be knocked back, landing on their rear. The strike left both boys mostly unconscious for a couple seconds. Iruka would grab them both. You two are in big trouble. You're in big trouble, Hiyashi said to Naruto, who was sitting right in front of him. Naruto looked up to him. But he impugned the honor of the Hyuga. What was I supposed to do? Not give in to his trolling. By acting out based on emotions, you proved that the Hyuga were emotionally weak and overly prideful. You essentially proved his slander correct. Naruto looked down. I couldn't help it. Maybe it was wrong. I know I'm not even a Hyuga, but... Who told you that you weren't a Hyuga? Hiyashi said. Naruto looked up. Well, he looked away. It's not a secret. It's not like nobody knows. My parents weren't Hyuga. I've heard it all before. Hiyashi looked down on the boy. Naruto continued. I know I'm not a Hyuga, but I love them so much. They protected me and took me in. They sacrificed for me, and when someone insults their name, it upsets me. A lot. I just want to show my gratitude. When I had nothing, you guys gave me everything. I can never repay that. Hiyashi knelt down before Naruto. Naruto, being a Hyuga, being a member of our clan goes beyond blood. You're a Hyuga through and through. Don't ever doubt that. If you weren't, I wouldn't be upset that you acted as you have. If you weren't a Hyuga, you would not have damaged our names, but only your own. You're as much a Hyuga as the rest of us. Naruto nodded. Hiyashi then spoke. "You're still going to need to be disciplined. You will take up this week's chores. Not only your own, but you'll take Neji's as well. That along with your standard training should be sufficient punishment." Naruto nodded. Hiyashi gave off a slight smile. "You're excused now." Naruto stood and began to leave as Hiyashi sat back at his desk. Naruto stopped at the door for a moment. Hiyashi looked up. "Naruto, is there something more you wish to say?" Naruto nodded, walked back in, and sat down. "I didn't understand it at the moment, and even now I can't help but wonder what it was." "What is it?" Hiyashi asked. Naruto looked up. "When me and Sasuke fought, we knocked each other out, and when that happened, I saw things." Hiyashi sat forward, confused. "What do you mean?" Naruto thought about it. "I saw the village. I heard a crowd cheering. I felt blood on my fists, and I heard a scream." Hiyashi seemed a little concerned about this. "What do you think it was?" Hiyashi asked. "I don't know." "Do you think you hurt someone?" Hiyashi asked. Naruto shook his head. "No, I don't. I believe it was my blood on my knuckles, but I saw something else. There was a man hovering above us. I don't know what it means." Hiyashi thought about it. "It's probably just a dream. Your rattled brain attempting to make sense of the situation. You were in a fight only moments before. Chances are you just had a strange dream. I wouldn't worry about it." Naruto nodded. "You're right, it probably was. I just had the need to tell you about it. It seemed important." Hiyashi smiled. "Thank you for sharing it with me, Naruto. I will think more about it and decide if something needs to be done. For now, go back out and play with Hinata." Naruto nodded. As Naruto left, Hiyashi sat there silently for a few moments. He would then close his office's door to the outer courtyard. He would open a new door to the main living quarters and move toward the place where the elder Hyuga was sitting. The elder, smoking his pipe, would look up at Hiyashi. "What is it, Hiyashi?" The clan head would sit down before his father. "Naruto told me something interesting today." "And what would that be?" the elder asked. "He said he had a vision of something ill to come." The elder thought about it. "What was this vision?" Hiyashi began to tell the elder about what Naruto had told him, and the elder contemplated it. "It's troubling indeed. This hovering man, the blood on the knuckles, the cheering and screaming. It could be interpreted any number of ways, but if I were to piece anything together, I think it means this. Naruto finds himself somewhere in the village while others are cheering for him, but a fight breaks out with some unknown entity and Naruto ends up hurt in the process." "It's only a dream though, isn't it, father?" The elder thinks about it. "I would hope so, but even you yourself stated that fate can be funny sometimes. A Tenseigan and a Rinnegan awakening together in the same generation, after not having any confirmation of having been seen in nearly a millennium. Fate is balancing. It's giving us tools to deal with something. And considering that Naruto had this vision after a fight with the Rinnegan user at school, I highly doubt this to be a coincidence. Naruto should have no knowledge of this possible threat unless someone has told him." "It's possible he figured it out on his own," Hiyashi said. "After all, he does seem to pick up things fast and can be capable of intelligent thought when nurtured." The elder stroked his chin and nodded. "Well, we can't be certain what he saw, but one thing is certain. He needs to train to face this threat head on. I believe it's about time to put him on a team." Hiyashi nodded. "But what team should he go on?" The elder thought about it. "We should put him on a team with Neji and Hinata. That way the three of them can stick together." "But who will lead them?" Hiyashi asked. The elder once more entered deep thought. "A good leader would be Tokuma. It's said that his Byakugan are the strongest, and he's honed his skills as a tracker. He's proficient in our taijutsu techniques, and he's just as level-headed as he is intelligent. I think he would make for a proper jonin to lead them." Hiyashi thought about this. "Perhaps. Should I go ahead and assign them to this team?" The elder nodded. "You don't think Neji will mind, do you? He seems to enjoy branching off a bit. It might feel constricting to him to place him on a team with only his cousins." The elder waved it off. "Neji's role in this is the same as all secondary branch members, to protect the clan. For him to do this, he'll do better to be on a team comprised of Naruto and Hinata. And considering that he, Naruto, and Hinata are often training together, it only makes sense. It's easier to synergize with people you already know and understand, rather than forming a new bond to learn over. Whether he likes it or not, it will be his obligation to fulfill this request." Hiyashi nodded. "Of course." Outside, Naruto sat on the edge of the stairs and watched as Neji and Hinata sparred about. The way Neji sparred with Hinata was different from how Neji sparred with Naruto. The two were close, their arms touching as they moved around each other in a circle. It seemed less like a spar and more like some elaborate dance that they practiced day in and day out. And perhaps it was a dance. Wasn't dance itself and taijutsu both considered an art form? As they stopped circling each other, Neji would start by saying numbers followed by movements. 1. He would attempt to strike her only for her to push it aside. 2. He would say as he struck her with his other hand, which would also be blocked. 4. He would attempt to kick her before quickly shouting 9, where he attempted to go right into a leg sweep. She would push the leg to the side and then jump over the sweep. Neji would then begin to do more moves with more numbers before speeding up and switching numbers around. He would say them quicker and in quick succession. Hinata would perform the same defenses as before. She wasn't attempting to fight back. Naruto recognized this, and as Neji's speed increased, so too did hers, to the point that it was almost amazing. Eventually, Neji pulled back. That's enough. The two would take a step away from each other and bow in respect. Naruto smiled as Hinata grabbed the towel to wipe off sweat. Neji looked back at Naruto as he too grabbed the towel and took a swig of some fluid inside of a bottle. He sat down and motioned Naruto over. Naruto walked over. "Have you been practicing your defenses, Naruto?" Naruto nodded. Neji smiled. "Good, let's test them out." Once again, he began striking, calling out numbers. Naruto would dodge them. The speed kept increasing, and eventually Neji stopped calling out numbers altogether. Naruto kept dodging and parrying. "So," Neji said as he struggled through his attacks, "Hinata tells me you got into a fight today at the academy. Please tell me you didn't embarrass us." "I did," said Naruto. "I gave into my emotions and got into a fight." "No, I mean, please tell me you at least won," Neji said. Naruto once again shook his head. "No, we reached a draw. We knocked each other out." Neji groaned as he increased the speed of his attacks, hoping Naruto would make a mistake so he would have an excuse to strike him. "Well, this was at least the Rinnegan boy, right?" Naruto nodded. "It was indeed." "Then I suppose it's forgivable." As Neji kept striking out at him, Naruto then spoke. "Neji, are the Uchiha better shinobi than us?" Neji stopped attacks completely. "What?" Naruto looked like he just realized he had made a terrible mistake, but couldn't go back on it now. You know, they got the Sharingan, and the Sharingan has a lot more potential than the Byakugan. It can mutate without anything special being lined up." Neji began to strike out at Naruto again, albeit slower so as to have this conversation with him. "Naruto, our Byakugan isn't weak. Maybe it can't cast Genjutsu, but any Joe with Yin release can cast Genjutsu. And the only thing that the Sharingan can do besides that is see things quickly and get out of Genjutsu easily. And the Byakugan can do that in spades." Naruto thought about it as he continued to spar. "But the Sharingan possesses the ability to mutate into a Mangekyo form and gain new abilities." Neji had to admit this was quite powerful, the ability to get 3 new abilities. But it wasn't everything. "The difference here, Naruto, is that we know the potential of our Byakugan. Maybe we don't develop a Susanoo or 2 random abilities, but the point is no Uchiha knows what their Mangekyo abilities will be before they achieve them, save Susanoo. The Hyuga spend all their lives honing their technique and their dojutsu. We know what to expect from our Kekai Genkai, and we spend our entire lives making it work. Besides, the Mangekyo goes blind if overused, so it does have a downside. I've read that most users of the Mangekyo go blind before they even manage to complete their Susanoo, and that's the gifted users. Trust me, Naruto, the Sharingan isn't as good as people make it out to be. It's overrated. With our dojutsu, we can see every weakness in their body, their form, and their various jutsu. We can kill with a touch. We don't need a baseball bat like the Uchiha do. We have a scalpel." Naruto nodded. Neji saw he was still a bit unconvinced. "Listen, Naruto, being a good shinobi isn't based on your Kekai Genkai. The Sharingan and the Byakugan are just tools that we make use of. Any shinobi can be great. Rock Lee has been teaching me this. Did you know he can't even use standard ninjutsu? Just earlier today, he and I sparred like you and I did a few days ago. He nearly beat me. Me, a shinobi, a prodigy of the Hyuga, master of the Gentle Fist and the Byakugan, and user of ninjutsu. A guy who can only power up with chakra and straight hard work nearly toppled me. There was once a quote from a wise and powerful martial artist, and what he said was true. I fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. We all have different skills, Naruto, and while it's good to be varied, sometimes all it takes is for you to focus on your gift to overtake the skills of others. Lee showed me that. Nothing but gates and taijutsu, and he seemed to almost tank everything I threw at him. We're all the same, Naruto. We're different, but we're all powerful shinobi in our own right. And for us, the Byakugan is our blessing. Our powerful technique we practice 10,000 times." Naruto listened to what Neji was saying. So even if we're not as varied as the Sharingan, we still have the same potential? Neji smiled. Yes, we do. We can practice our techniques over and over and over again, and we can bring them out whenever we desire. Our power surpasses that of the standard Sharingan, and our ability to see surpasses that of the Mangekyo. The Mangekyo only beats us with various and oftentimes hacks techniques. But the difference here is that we can practice our techniques as many times and as often as we want. The Mangekyo has a limit to how much it can be used before it grows weaker. And in a battle of attrition, a Byakugan user will always overpower a Sharingan user. That's why we focus on taijutsu and control. That way we can last as long as possible while remaining as precise as possible. Rarely will you find anyone as fast and precise as a Hyuga. In a battle against a Sharingan user, attempt to stall as long as you can. Do not be intimidated by the Susanoo, it burns as much chakra as it takes to form it. Don't be intimidated by the hack's abilities. Discover what they are and wait for them to be used. Then dodge. The more the Mangekyo is used, the weaker the user becomes. Then you can strike. Naruto begins to smile, faith in his abilities being restored. I want to learn to be faster, more controlled, stronger. Neji gave a silent laugh in the form of a huff. Then stick with me and we'll keep honing our skills together. Eventually, nobody will be able to stand in our way. Naruto and Neji continue to spar for quite some time until the sun sets. The trio, Neji, Hinata, and Naruto, all bid each other goodnight and make their way to bed. Naruto hits the hay and goes to sleep almost immediately due to how hard he trained. Despite this, he's up and out of bed before the sun even rises. Getting his training clothes, he makes his way out to Hinata, who has already set up her mat. He rolls his out as well. Oh, you're joining me today? He nods. I hope you don't mind. She giggles a bit. Not in the least. I just planned to let you sleep in today since you had such a big day yesterday. Naruto gets into position and begins emulating what he sees to the best of his ability. After some time, his balance slowly begins to improve, as does his flexibility. He never imagined so much strength could be required to do what mostly he had in the past considered glorified stretching. No, yoga was far more than that. It was strength training. It was time under tension. It helped with limberness and with balance. This was a wonderful way to train. It allowed him to grow stronger without growing stiffer. After they finished this, they began to focus on perfecting the protective 8 trigrams 64 palms. Just like yesterday with Neji, the protective 64 palms has a set of movements you're supposed to take. We practice these moves and perfect them until we can do them without thinking. Then we practice more. It allows us to move even faster. Keep it up, Naruto. You'll get it soon. Naruto would proceed to do as she had shown him. He streamlined a single but intense stream of chakra from one of the tenketsu in his hands, before moving into the defensive movements she had shown him. His strikes started out somewhat sloppy, with plenty of openings between them, but the defense began to tighten and cover all open spaces until it was almost a perfect, tight grid pattern. He slowly began to speed up, which would further increase his chances of successfully defending against all attacks. This technique, if honed properly, will allow you to emulate the defensive properties of the 8 trigrams palm rotation. Sadly, it won't have the same blowback as that attack, but it also won't waste as much chakra either, so there's that. Naruto eventually came to a stop. It doesn't have the same blowback. Do you think we could fix that? Hinata cocked her head. How so? Naruto thought about it for a moment. What if we incorporate Vacuum Fist into this technique? Hinata thought about it. Protective 8 trigrams 64 vacuum palms, she said out loud. It's kind of a mouthful, but it could be possible. But you might sacrifice cutting power for knockback. I don't know. But you could always work on it. Test it to see if it works. Test it to see if it's compatible. Naruto agreed and then would collect his things. He would pick up his towel and his drink and began to do the chores he had set out for not only himself, but for Neji as a part of his discipline for fighting Sasuke. After this, he made his way to breakfast. Entering the dining room, he saw that breakfast was already made and that Hiyashi was not present. So Naruto, Neji, and Hinata had a nice breakfast alone together. Once this was finished, they would be called into Hiyashi's office. All 3 of them. They would enter and see a Hyuga Jonin standing there. Children, allow me to formally introduce you to your newest Jonin, Tokuma. Newest Jonin? Wait, does that mean we're all formally on a team now? And that team is me, Naruto, and Neji? Hiyashi gave off a small laugh. I can't surprise you for anything. That's what I get for raising such intelligent children. Naruto seemed to be stoked about it, but Neji showed no emotion whatsoever. What's the matter, Neji? Do you not like this idea? Neji thought about it. It's a nice idea, but I already had my sights on joining Team Guy with Tenten and Lee. I've been interested in Lee's style for quite some time, and I want to experience it more myself. Hiyashi nodded. I assumed this would be the case, but I think it's better if you were on a team with Naruto and Hinata, since you 3 work so well together. Hiyashi then looked down at a picture frame sitting on his desk. It displayed a large family photo, and Hiyashi noticed his brother Hizashi. He remembered how he had so bravely given his life for Hiyashi. He had promised Hizashi before he died that he would take care of Neji, and now Hiyashi was remembering that promise right now. Unless you would rather be on Team Guy, I will give you autonomy to decide for yourself which team you wish to be on. But for now, Hinata and Naruto will be on the same team together. Neji thanked him. I will make my decision soon. After this, Tokuma stepped forward. It's a pleasure to meet you all, he said. I have a feeling we're going to make a good team together. And that's where I'm gonna end the story for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. I really wanted to get into questions about the strengths and weaknesses of the Byakugan compared to the Sharingan. The Byakugan these days is criminally underrated. When used by a Hyuga, it can be a big threat to a Sharingan user. The Byakugan is shown to see through the lies of a Genjutsu, has 360-degree fisheye vision, and possesses both telescopic and X-ray vision. But even so, it's shown by Kaguya that it can even peer into the minds of others. So to act like it's not able to keep up with the Sharingan is a gross underselling of this dojutsu. It may be common, but that doesn't make it at all weak. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos as they drop. And until next time, peace.